Okay, good morning. Okay, good morning. Good morning sa inyo guys. So today we're going to have our discussion sa module number 15 ng ating SSC 121. And its title is Cultural, Social, Political Change and Responses to Change. Okay? Our main objective guys is to define the cultural, social, and political change. Of course, to identify and explain the various sources of social, cultural, and political change. And number 3, we're going to identify the tension and social contractions or contradictions that affect these changes. As an overview with our topic, man cannot step twice into the same river, for he is not quite with the same man, nor it is quite the same river. Thus observe Heraclitus, the famous Greek philosopher, who considered everything change. That is from Robinson's book from 1987. Its page is 507. Since its past inceptions to the present time, societies always change, 'di ba? Laging nagkakaroon ng pagbabago sa society natin, even sa political, even sa social. The same way that living organisms undergo growth and decay, and communities evolve from pre-industrial to industrial to technology-driven economies. So sa chapter na to guys, we will discuss the different various of sources of social, cultural, and political change. Paano ito nababago, paano ito nakakatulong para ma-shape up ang society, and paano siya nakaka-apekto sa mga tao na nasa loob ng society. So, now let's define the social, cultural, and political change. Pag sinabi nating social change, it is a, what do you call that? Wait lang guys, I'm going to highlight this one so you can have, there you go. Pag sinabi nating social change, it is the alteration in patterns of culture. Yung social change, yung social structure, yung social behavior, nagkakaroon yan ng pagbabago. This is actually observed by Heraclitus during his time. And he said that no society can successfully prevent the change. No? Kahit yung mga bagay na gusto mong gawin, if you are trying to do some changes within this one, with this thing, hindi mo yan kayang pigilan. There's no such thing as kaya kong pigilan ang pagbabago. Okay? Nonetheless, some societies are more resistant to these changes. Nagkakaroon ng resistance sa mga pagbabago, kaya nagkakaroon ng conflict. Diba? Most especially the indigenous one. Yung mga tao na nakakaranas ng hirap, yung mga tao na nakakaranas ng, alam niyo yung fix na sa kanila, yung ganitong bagay. Fix na sila sa ganitong klase ng society, tapos biglang nagkaroon ng pagbabago. No? Nagiging resistance ito para sa kanila. Okay? The social change occur because of the transformations in physical and cultural environment. Okay? Nagkakaroon ng new ideas, ng bagong forms, ng structures, kaya nagkakaroon ng social change. Let's say for example, guys, sa panahon natin ngayon, di ba? Madalas nagkakaroon ng volcanic eruption, nagkakaroon ng paglindol, madalas nagkakaroon ng bagyo, di ba? Yung mga displaced and homeless people or families na nakasurvive sa volcanic eruption, sila ay napo-force, di ba? Na maghanap ng lilipatan nila. So there they can settle. Maghanap ng trabaho, mag-start up again. Ngayon, nagkakaroon ng social change. Kailangan nilang magkaroon ng, kailangan nilang makisama ulit sa bagong environment. Kailangan nilang mag-rebuild ng kanilang community. Kasi, apektado sila ng pagbasabog ng bulkan. Apektado sila ng pagkakaroon ng landslide. Apektado sila ng pagkakaroon ng, ng lindol. So, kailangan nilang maghanap ng lugar kung saan pwede silang mag-build ulit ng bagong community. Now, the inventions of the atomic bomb led the destruction of 2 Japanese cities during the World War II. And after that, 2 cities were rebuilt. And after many years, na-flourish ulit ito. Diba? O, isa yan sa mga halimbawa. Ano naman yung cultural change na tinatawag? Guys, when we say cultural change, this is a cultural pattern of behavior and values. No? Itong pagbabago na to, these are the whether, okay, a tangible or material aspect. Yun namang cultural intangible or non-material aspect, nakafocus to sa pamumuhay ng tao. These are particularly in what they experience, diba? Let's say for example, the alteration of build inheritance or heritage houses and buildings on the downtown Manila and Iloilo in favor of sleek, modern structures in part of cultural change. Okay. Change in dietary patterns. Okay, ng mga modern day Filipino. Mula sa traditional to slow cook meals, kagaya na lang ng kare-kare, sinigang, 'di ba? Yung mga fast food meals, hamburgers, pizza, nabago di ba? Kasi nung una nagluluto tayo Traditionally, bago tayo sa loob ng tahanan, nagluluto tayo, sama-sama tayong kumakain. Pero ngayon, dahil lumabas na yung marami ng fast food, pero ngayon, dahil marami nang lumabas na mga fast food meals, kagaya na lang ng hamburger, ng pizza, 'di ba? Nagkaroon ng pagbabago. Instead na magluto sa loob ng tahanan, mas pinipili ng mga tao na lumabas na lamang at kumain doon sa restaurant, kumain sa fast food restaurant. 'Di ba? So, nagkakaroon ng cultural change. Another aspect of change is yung tinatawag nating political change. Okay? Itong pagbabago na to, ang pattern nito is yung behavior and value ng individual as well as political institution, wherein it holds a power and control into the society. So this proposed change is in the type of government in the Philippines. Halimbawa na lang yung presidential to parliamentary. Diba? It is a fine example of political change because the movements that call for reforms in government is also an example of political change. Okay, so alam na natin kung ano-ano itong mga aspect of changes na to. Diba? The social change, the cultural change, and political change. Now let's see what are the sources of these changes. According to the sociologists, they identify the 4 key sources of social, cultural, and political changes. We have the innovation, the diffusion, acculturation, and assimilation. Alamin natin yung ibig sabihin nitong 4 na to. First off, we have the innovation. Okay, so there are 2 types of innovation. Ano tong 2 types of innovation na to, guys? First one, we have the primary innovation. Yung tinatawag nating primary innovation, this occurs when an individual or a group comes up with a completely new idea, method, or device. Okay, that is according to Haviland, Prince, Wallart, and McBride in 2008. That's a book, guys. So, primary innovation significantly contributes to social, cultural, political change when it alters the way of life and views of individuals and institutions. Now, the secondary innovation. This occurs or happen when an individual or a group of further develops or group of people further develops or improves an already existing idea. Okay, let's now proceed with the diffusion. When we say diffusion, this is another source of social and political change. When we say diffusion, this is an act of spreading cultural tradition, which is, diba, about ideas, objectives, diba, ng other societies. A particular cultural can never be isolated from one culture to another. Diba? Any society or culture can be shared or adapted by anyone. Diba? Lahat pwede. Kasi nga tayo ng mga tao, we were absorbent Kahit saan tayo ilagay, we were able to adopt the culture of other people or the other society. So, though this is always the case, it is not conclusive. Bakit? Because people in a particular society are also cautious and careful. Diba? This trait, to borrow from other cultures, especially if they find it incongruous. Pag sinabi natin incongruous, inappropriate para sa kanila. Diba? Kapag sinabi natin inimical, hindi pwedeng gayahin. Or ibig sabihin, kabaliktaran ng paniniwala nila. Let's say, for example, they already have their existing beliefs and norms. Sometimes, nagkakaroon ng resistance. But eventually, the diffusion is open to all culture, open to all society. One culture can be adapted, one tradition, objectives, or ideas can be adapted by the other society. Now, let's see what are the 2 types of diffusion. First one, direct diffusion. Pag sinabi natin direct diffusion, this occurs through trade, marriage, and war. Let's say, for example, the use of silk cloths that is introduced by the Chinese to the Filipino sa pamamagitan ng trading. Sa parang to, guys, yung participation ng mga Pilipino sa Briz, Manila, Acapulco, galleon trade during the Spanish colonial period, nag-provide ito ng impetus for the diffusion of or transplantation of Mexican flora. Halimbawa na lang corn, peanut, Philippine soil, sa Philippine soil. Okay? Yung pagtatanim ng mango sa Mexico, di ba? Galing yun sa Pilipinas. So, direct diffusion is like you are adapting, or tayong mga Pilipino, we were able to adapt the culture of, tawag dito, ng mga nanakop sa atin. And also, other people or other country also adapt our culture. That's a direct diffusion. Directly, they were able to adapt the culture. One society and other society can adapt the culture directly. Diba? Next, indirect diffusion naman. Pag sinabi natin indirect diffusion, this occurs when a group of people or group comes in contact with another group indirectly. Saan? Sa pamamagitan ng third party. Okay? So dito, hindi na kailangan ng direct diffusion, yung direct introduction of culture. Okay? Ito, hindi na rin kailangan ng influence. Ano ang kailangan dito? Ano ang nangyayari dito? Another individual or a group of people serves as a channel of information, idea, and cultural trait. Nagigets po? Parang, let's say for example, ako, I am a Filipino. And then, may kaibigan ako na galing sa ibang bansa. Yung kaibigan ko na yon, na-adapt niya yung kultura na mayroon sa bansang pinanggalingan niya. And eventually, na-adapt ko din yun. Culture na meron sila. Sinong nag-introduce sa akin? Yung kaibigan ko na nanggaling sa ibang bansa. And he became the third party. Gets? Okay, now let's proceed with acculturation. When we say acculturation, guys, okay, let's highlight this one. Pag sinabi nating acculturation, there you go. This acculturation is a third source of social, cultural, and political change. Ayan. Pag sinabi nating acculturation, it is a product of a massive cultural change. Meaning to say, hindi lang isang tao ang apektado nito, massive na. Okay? Let's say, for example, we Filipinos have been adopting the culture of other people or other country. Diba? So, lahat tayo is naapektuhan, apektado. It entails a show of force by one party over another. Diba? Moreover, acculturation can sometimes be voluntary in nature, especially if the introduced norm or trait is attractive or relevant. Diba? Ayan. Pwede siya maging voluntary. Lalo na kapag interesting siya para sa atin. Pag relevant siya sa objective natin. Diba? Now, yung mga Mongols, example, they became so acculturated with the Chinese way of life that they abandoned their nomadic culture in favor of the orderly and structured society of Chinese. Oh, ito na lang, sa Filipino settings na lang. We Filipinos became accustomed to the Spanish penchant or fiestas, merriment, diba? Celebration of assumed local flavor, diba? Yan. Naging fondant tayo doon sa Spanish penchant, diba? Yung mga, ang tawag dito, flower festival, okay? Fiesta ni San Jeronimo, fiesta ni San Gabriel, ayan. Galing po yan sa mga Spanish, no? Sa Spaniards. So, yung mga ganyang klase ng celebration is naging accustomed na sa atin. Na-acculturate na natin yan. So, the extreme form of acculturation is ethnocide or genocide. Rather, diba? So, it is aggressive and forceful abolitions of certain groups' cultural identity through the implementation of policies that give negative sanctions to the practice of group culture. Okay? What is the negative sanctions? These include extreme, vehemence, or prohibitions. Diba? Nagkakaroon ng harsh or unjust laws, nagkakaroon ng rule or reign of terror, and systematic killing pag hindi nasunod. Diba? Next one, guys, is yung tinatawag nating assimilation. When we say assimilation, this occurs when the minority group loses its distinctive culture traits and forced to adapt or absorb those of dominant culture. Okay? Assimilation takes place voluntarily, like in the case of Mongol rules, na inabsorb nila yung Chinese culture. Kasi nga, kumbaga, para magkaroon sila ng order. Diba? Similarity, various ethnic groups living in Hawaii have blended freely for many years without much conflict with the island state's way of life. Ayan, yun yung assimilation na tinatawag. Okay. Meron namang klase ng ganyan ng, ayan, balik tayo sa acculturation. Dito sa atin sa Pilipinas, nagkaroon ng conflict. It's because we Filipinos or yung mga ninuno natin, is hindi sila pumayag ng masakop sila for a long time. Kaya nagkaroon ng mga revolusyonaryo, diba? Pero umabot tayo ng 300 years, ha? Sa pananakop ng mga Espanyol. Diba? Okay, so balik tayo kay assimilation. symbolic yun. Okay, balik tayo kay assimilation. So, these are the examples, guys, ng assimilation. Lalo na sa social media. There is a progress often measured by changes in physical and cultural environment of society, especially the growth of localities to cities and technologies. Diba? Bakit? Kasi through time, diba? Nagkakaroon ng mga malalaking building, nagkakaroon ng malalaking infrastructures, nagkakaroon ng mga malalaking projects. Diba? At lahat ng yan, apektado ang culture. Diba? Sa social media naman, people often become acculturated or assimilated with what? With the different types of social medias. Nagagamit na nila kasi yan lahat. Diba? Nagagamit na yung Facebook, yung Twitter, yung YouTube, diba? Yung Google, diba? These social media platforms, diba? Or the search engines is very, useful for some people. Kasi, naging part na ng daily life nila yan. Now, social contradictions and tensions naman. The social contradictions and tensions, social, cultural, and political change are often positively seen as a mark of human progress. Kaya lang, yung societal change, hindi ito laging nag-uumpisa sa smooth, susunod agad, makikinig agad, diba? Na-enculturate nila kaagad, hindi nagiging peaceful. There are times that bago pa lang na ini-introduce yung pagbabago sa society, sa political, even sa cultural, nagkakaroon ng revolutions. O, dito sa Pilipinas, di ba, pag sinakop tayo ng taga-ibang bansa, lalaban tayo. Tama? Kahit din ng ibang bansa, ganun din sila. Di ba? Nagkakaroon ng revolution. Now, there are also instances na yung mga pagbabago ng sa social and political change is nagli-lead to deterioration, even destruction ng community. So sa lesson na to, we will discuss some forms of social contradictions and tensions that are related to social culture, political change, okay? Ano-ano yun? Inter-ethnic conflict, class struggles, armed conflict, terrorism, the protest, and even the gender inequality. Iisa-isahin natin yung mga yan. Okay? What are this? First off, we have the inter-ethnic conflict. Pag sinabi natin inter-ethnic conflict, the cultural features of a specific group of people is called ethnicity. Ulitin ko po. The cultural features of specific group of people is tinatawag nating ethnicity. From a sociological viewpoint, an ethnic group is a category of people who, as a result of their shared culture heritage. Okay. So ngayon, sa modern world, the societies operate this mosaic of heterogeneous group. These are the groups whose physical appearance or cultural practices are unlike to those dominant group, which are tinatawag nating minorities. Ano yung minorities? Ano yung meron sa kanila? They are subjected to different forms of inequality or unequal treatment of the dominant group. So, lumalaban sila. Diba? Nagkakaroon ng conflict between this one. Okay. Social inequalities often result to tension and even conflict, which can appear in the form of ethnocentrism. Diba? So, that's the tendency to judge other culture by standards of one's own or antagonism. Ito sa pagitan niya ng dominant group or ng minority. Okay? Now, doon tayo sa pangalawa, yung tinatawag natin na class struggle. When we say class struggle, tensions and contradictions significantly operate in class system, which is an open form of stratification na nakabase sa nakabase sa economic status. Yun yung class struggle. Diba? So, every individual's status always depend on their occupation and their income. Diba? Most especially the breadwinners. Class memberships, diba? Can be achieved by status. Pwede siyang nakadepende sa extent of characteristics, individual's control, laging nakadepende yan dyan, guys. Okay? So, sa agricultural societies, there are often two extant classes. Ano yun? Wealth landowners and poor class of peasants. Pag sinabi nating peasants, they are servants. Mahihirap. Okay? In industrialized society, on the other hand, there are often three classes. Diba? Ano yun? First off, we have the small and wealthy upper class. Pangalawa, large middle class or that is composed of professionals and white-collar workers. And lastly, the large middle working class of less skilled blue-collar workers. Okay, pasimplihin po natin. Okay? Industrialized societies. Okay, 3 classes. Ano-ano po yun? Wait lang, i-erase lang po ni ma'am and then I'm going to highlight po. Pasimplahin lang po natin para mas maintindihan po natin. Yan. First one, we have the wealthy upper class. Pangalawa, middle class. And then pangatlo is the, these are the lower class or yung mga tinatawag natin na middle working class. Okay? So, sila yung mga blue-collar workers. Okay, there you go. Now, let's proceed with armed conflicts. Pag sinabi natin armed conflicts, these are the frictions and tensions among conflicting individuals or group sa isang society. Nagiging result ito ng conflict or, anong tawag dito? Nagiging result ito ng hostilities. Okay? Like armed conflicts. Okay? Yung pagkakaroon ng formation ng armed groups, this is actually an attribution to the failure of two opposing parties. Hindi sila nagkakaroon ng settlements. Nagkakaroon sila ng disputes. Diba? So kapag nagkaroon ng disputes, nagkakaroon ng tension. Nagkakaroon ng escalation of tensions. So the armed conflicts happens in many parts of the world. Kaya nagkakaroon ng gera eh. Diba? Kasi hindi nagkakasundo ang one society to another. Though they attempt to have a settlement, pero some political parties, feeling nila is kapag ginawa nila yon, there will be, conflict pa rin. Diba? So, lagi itong nakabase sa political power, territorial, ethnic issues, societal stresses, and even injustice and poverties. Kaya nagkakaroon ng armed conflicts. Diba? So, the conflicts are caused by ethnicity or even religions, di ba? Let's say, for example, ang mga Christians and then the Muslim, nagkakaroon ng gera between them kasi yung paniniwala nila, feeling nila there is an equality, di ba? Economic and social inequalities. Even yung poverty sa economic stagnation, yung poor governance, unemployment, di ba? The environmental degradation. Nagiging way of conflict din po yan. Even yung yung incentive fights inside the company, nagiging way of conflict din po yan. Let's say, for example, ito yung pinakamadali sa isang kumpanya. Diba? At first, masisipag yung mga empleyado kasi they got their incentives every time na mayroong mga pumapasok na income or mayroong, halimbawa, yung mga sasakyan. Kumpanya ng isang trading company ng isang sasakyan. Diba? So, at first, maganda yung pamamalakad, lahat ng mga staff nila, if they were able to sell out all the cars inside the company, ng trading company na yon, they will get their incentives. But eventually, nagkaroon ng pagbabago, inalis yung incentives na yon. Mas nag-focus ngayon si company sa income niya instead of the people. Diba? Nagkaroon ngayon ng conflict. Nag-resign ang mga tauhan. Bakit? Dahil hindi na sila nakakakuha ng incentive, na-delay na yung sahod nila. Bumababa na. Diba? So, that is one of the example of the armed conflicts. Next one, guys, is yung tinatawag natin na terrorism. When we say terrorism, mas madalas na nagkakaroon ng tension or movement. Diba? Kapag nagkakaroon na ng violation against civilian. Diba? Ang pinakang target kasi nito is the purpose of intimidations to achieve political or ideological end. No? Yun, guys, tinatawag na yan na terrorism. Okay? So, sa mga nakaraang panahon, guys, yung international terrorism is strongly connected with radical and extreme groups which commit violent act, kagaya na lang ng bombing, hijacking, assassination, even kidnapping. Diba? Terrorism, that is a form of terrorism. According to Samuel Huntington, the spread of terrorism is caused by cultural and religious difference between civilization and worldwide today. Today's terrorism has an effective and very flexible network. It also has less hierarchical organizational structures and access to latest technology. Bakit? Kasi pwede ka nang mag-live stream eh. Tama? Now, according to Jonathan Matsousettes, there are people which create an act of terrorism due to these following causes. Ito daw yung mga karaniwang dahilan kung bakit nagkakaroon ng terrorism. Number 1 na guys, is yung tinatawag na religious fanatism. Yung excuse me. Number 1, religious fanatism. Okay, ulitin natin. According to Jonathan Matsusits, these are the reasons or causes kung bakit nagkakaroon ng terrorism. Number 1 na guys is the religious fanatism. Yung bang sobrang mahal mo yung religion mo. Your society or your leader wanted to spread it all over the world. So that is why they were able to terrorize some areas. Diba? Para i-implement yung religion na meron sila. That's religion fanatism. Almost end up with terrorism. Number 2, operation specially by government. Diba? Ito naman, let's say for example, yung sa Spanish era. Diba? So, nung panahon na yan, they were able to terrorize or they were able na masakop yung ating bansa. It's because they wanted to spread the ruling of their government in other countries. Diba? That's operation specially by government. Lahat ng bawal, lahat ng form of terrorism nangyari na during the 300 years ng pananakop nila sa ating bansa. Okay? Okay, so next one guys, burahin ko lang para medyo malinis tayo. Next one is the violation of international law. Kagaya na lang ng genocide or awful dispossessions of local inhabitations. Diba? Next one, poverty. Terrorism. Nagkakaroon ng terrorism because of poverty. Diba? Kidnapping, hijacking, dala ng pangangailangan. Hatred toward the global economic hegemony. Diba? Next one, financial gain or earn money from ransom, kidnapping, hijacking. Racism. Pag sinabing racism, that is, diba? You are against the other race. Diba? Morality, salience, and martyrdom. Next one, narcissism. And sensation seeking. And lastly, failure of conventional channels of expression and communication. Now, let's proceed with another one, the protest. Ano daw nangyayari yung protest? Okay? When we say protest, guys, it is the simplest form of expanding disgust, contradiction, and tension through the collective manner. Okay, number 1 example na lang yung sa flood control. Nitong mga nakaraang linggo, nitong nakaraang buwan, di ba, halos sunod-sunod ang pagpoprotesta against corruption. Di ba? It is because the people contradicts the corruption. They become disgusted with the corruption na nangyayari dito sa ating bansa. Okay? So, Smeltzer argued that collective behavior will occur only if 6 conditions are met. Una, structural conduciveness. Number 2, structural strains. And lastly, generalized belief. Diba? Ano pa sumunod? Precipitating factors. Mobilization of actions. Failure of social control. Yan yung mga karaniwan na social conditions. Kapag lahat yan, no, nangyari, that is the time na nagkakaroon ng protesta. There are 2 vital elements in staging a protest. Number 1, public opinion. Of course, the people were able to get the public opinion first bago sila mag-create ng protesta. Diba? This actually is the sum of decisions of members of the public on particular issue. Diba? Kaya nga nung nagkaroon talaga ng massive protest against corruption, ay grabe napakaraming tao. Diba? The propaganda are information or viewpoint naman. Kung saan, these are being represented with deliberate intention of persuading the audience in order to adopt a particular opinion. Diba? Yun po yun. Now, how do people were able to express their protests? O pwede yan sa written, verbal, or non-verbal form. A protest may range from a peaceful street, okay, peaceful street protest, pwede yan, diba? Or pwede naman yung crowd, or more contagion crowd behavior. Yun yung pwedeng maapektuhan. There are such as loss of individuality resulting to infectious spread of emotions, mob attacks, panics, mass hysteria, pwedeng magkaroon ng ganun. Diba? So, a mob is an emotionally aroused or crowd intent of violent and destructive action. Although mobs often have leaders and impose strong conformity on their members, merong mga individuals na talagang unstable. They have their unstable form of collective behavior. That is why, 'di ba, nitong nakaraan lang na nagkaroon ng protesta, hindi talaga naiwasan na nagkaroon ng massive destruction talaga sa Maynila. Though may leader nang nagpo-protest, may mga groups naman na talagang nanira talaga ng street light, 'di ba? May mga nagkagulo pa, nagkabugbugan pa, 'di ba? Pero on the other part of the Manila, there is a peaceful 'di ba? So usually yung mob, in form of protest, dito emotionally nag-a-arouse, or emotionally nag-a-arouse yung crowd intent of violent and destructive actions. Ano naman yung protest that creates panic? This usually is a form of collective behavior that occurs when people are faced with immediate threat or react in a fearful, spontaneous, and uncoordinated way. Diba? O let's say, for example, yung lalaki na nakulong. Kasi, yun daw 16 years old, na umatake sa kanya, nagpanic siya eh. Diba? Kukuyugin siya eh. Diba? So, kailangan niyang ipagtanggol yung sarili niya. So, anong ginawa niya? Lumaban siya. Kasi, kung hindi siya lumaban, siya naman yung masasaktan. Diba? 16 years old yung nasaktan niya. Pero hindi lang siya yun. Hindi lang yung 16 years old na yun. May mga kasama pa siya. Diba? But it turned out na dahil gusto lang niyang ipagtanggol yung sarili niya, nasaktan niya yung 16 years old na yun. Nasaksak niya. Okay, ano naman yung mass hysteria? Ito naman yung mass hysteria. This is a form of collective behavior na nag-spread ng anxiety. Diba? Dahil sa unfounded belief. Let's say, for example, yung sa pandemic. Diba? Nagkakaroon ng widespread anxiety ang mga tao. Though they gain an anxiety with yung mga napapanood nila sa social media, sa television, diba? Na hindi ka pwedeng lumabas. Pag lumabas ka, pwede ka makakuha ng ganitong sakit. Diba? Ano pa? Yung nangyari na nga lang sa protesta sa Maynila. Diba? So, nagkaroon na ng anxiety yung mga tao, yung mga hindi kasama sa pagpoprotesta, na nadamay lang. Diba? Nadamay lang, dadaan lang, pero tinamaan nung anong tawag dito, yung pinapasabog. Diba? Dadaan lang siya, uwi lang siya sa bahay nila dahil may protesta, nasaksak. Pero hindi naman siya kasali. Diba? Ayan po. Now, let us proceed with the gender inequality. Gender inequality are often the primary causes of tension and conflict nowadays. Because gender is defined as a culturally learned difference between men and women, as opposed to sex.